Entitlement reaches all walks of life, as you'll find out in this episode of Entitled People. Our first one is from Alex Moreno 794. For a little context here, I was traveling with my kiddo from the States to my home country, which takes around 8 hours with connections, so I booked the first class seats for both of us. However, due to COVID in this airline, ours was the last group to be called to board. When we boarded, it turned out a Karen around 40-ish and her kid were in our seats. I politely told her so, but she ignored me. And as we were the last to board, I had to call the flight attendant and let her know that, because we were soon to take off. She came and Karen just repeated in Spanish, "Lo siento, no entiendo," over and over again. "I'm sorry, I don't understand," in English. And the flight attendant felt frustrated as she explained the situation to her in Spanish, yet it was obvious Spanish wasn't her first language, and yet Karen pretended she didn't understand. But here comes the funny part. I am a Spanish speaker, so I grinned and told her in Spanish that she was in our seats and had to move to their seats. She then got red-faced and told me how she's a single mother and how I should respect my elders, all in Spanish of course, and how I should go with my brother, actually my son, to the regular seats because she deserved to have the first class ones. I told her she was not my elder. I'm 27 and she was 40-ish, and I don't give a fuck about her being a single mother. She could pay for them as I did being a single parent as well. Anyways, Karen had the pleasure to have me as her translator, telling her to go back to their seats or they would be escorted out of the plane. In the end, she went back to their seats and told me in English how my kind have ruined the States. I just laughed at them and told her to enjoy their seats. I like how she plays the single parent card. I understand it's rough being a single parent, I know because I am one. However, I don't walk around asking for handouts, so these people shouldn't either. Especially first class seats, which I think we all know are not cheap. This next one is by Salamander New 6159. I work nights doing dessert prep at a fancy schmancy deli. Occasionally, we throw fried donuts with crazy toppings on the menu. I like to make test rounds of new flavors for the crew before we launch them. I usually work towards the front of an open concept kitchen and am fully visible from the street. There's a strip of bars and clubs directly across. A few nights ago, I had just finished some donuts and was arranging them for some Instagram photos. I heard a knock on the window and looked up, assuming I'd see one of my friends who works mortal hours headed home from the bar. Wrong. It was a woman I'd never seen before. Assuming it was one of my coworkers' friends, I gave her a polite wave and went back to my iPhone photography. She hit the window again, more like a bang than a knock. Last summer I'd been at work overnight when someone broke all of our front windows, so this made me jump. The woman was gesturing for me to come over to the door. We still have a takeout window from COVID, so I unlocked it, slid it up about an inch. I'm not a nice person and just wanted to finish my work. Can I help you? I'd like to have a donut. Sorry ma'am, we're closed. I just came over here to see if I could get you to leave so I can finish my job and leave. But they're right there. At this point, I proceeded to shut the window, carry my tray of donuts further into the kitchen, and proceeds with photos. The woman knocks a few times and then leaves after letting out one very high-pitched scream. Less than an hour later, my boss texts me to see if I'm at work. The woman had called the police to report she saw a break-in at the restaurant on her way home from the bar, because I refused to sell her a donut. Well, considering she called to report a break-in, she misused emergency services, which in fact is a crime, and I would not be surprised if charges end up being pressed against her for that false report. This next one is from OK Entertainment 2734. So this was around 2006 when Pokemon Diamond and Pearl came out, and my mom had just bought Pokemon Diamond for me. My friend and I were talking about it at school, and then some weird kid, let's call him Bob, had heard our conversation about it and was acting all sad, and he said, "I really wanted that game, but my parents said that I can get it for Christmas, but that's so far away." And I said, "Yeah, that's sad, but I got it yesterday. I picked Piplup for my starter." Wait, you got it already? Would you mind if I play it? I'll give it back after I'm done? No, sorry. I think I'll hold on to it for now. And me and my friend walked away. But the next day, I made a dumb decision and took my DS to school to play it during lunch. And so when I got to school and it was lunchtime, I took out my DS and started to play. Not 2 minutes later, Bob shows up at my table and asks if he can play it. I say no and I ask him to leave, but he stays and asks again, but more louder. And I of course respond no. Then he snatches it out of my hand and says, "I need this more than you do, so don't try to take it away from me." Give it back. Then a teacher walks over and says, "What's going on here, boys?" "OP took my DS and I got it back and now he's trying to get it again." That's not true. He took it from me. Look at the back, it has my name on it. The teacher gets it from Bob and he starts crying. The teacher sees that it's mine and she gives it back to me. Now, Bob, would you like to apologize for stealing OP's game? No, he's dumb and stupid. That DS is mine. The teacher takes Bob to the principal and he got sent home because he grabbed it so hard the top was barely hanging on to the bottom part and it was broken, and I had to explain this to my mom. She contacted Bob's mom and she sent us money so that we could replace the DS. And all was well after that with Bob. For context, I was in 6th grade at the time it happened. In a lot of cases, I argue that when kids act entitled, it's because the parents are teaching them to be entitled, but in this case, Bob's mom sent the money to replace the DS, which effectively shows she's trying to teach this kid to not be entitled. Makes me wonder if he ended up getting the Pokemon game for Christmas or not as a result of this. This next one is from Crimson Prophecy 7. A few years ago, I was on a flight from London to Sydney when an older woman, maybe 70, suddenly collapsed in the aisle. The flight attendants rushed over to her and checked her pulse, and determined she doesn't have one, and commenced CPR. People are standing up to see what is happening, and a few people start to film. At this point, the flight crew brought out a defibrillator and had to remove the dying woman's shirt to use it on her. Myself and a few other people tried to stand around them to block the view and give the poor woman some dignity in this horrible moment. The flight crew are naturally panicking, but remaining professional. One flight attendant is asking people to stop filming, but they don't. The closest person to me was Karen, and she had her phone moving at all angles to try to get some footage of the poor woman on the floor. I snatched her phone out of her hands and called her a disrespectful cunt, and she instantly started screeching that I had stolen her phone. The flight attendants weren't paying attention to what she was saying as they clearly had more important things to focus on. She then grabbed the flight attendant who was assisting with the first aid by the arm and told them I had stolen her phone. I didn't want to cause more drama for the poor flight attendant who was so flustered, so I threw her phone down on her seat. The lady collapsed shortly before we landed, so once we had landed, we all had to wait on the plane while the ambulance crew boarded and commenced CPR, and eventually took her off the flight. While we were waiting, Karen said, "Can we get off the plane? I want to go home. I've had a long flight and I'm tired." Luckily for me, someone else was sick of her bullshit because they told her to shove her complaints up her ass. I wish I'd thrown her phone out of the plane if I could have. I have to ask myself, if any of those people that had their phones out filming were in the same situation, would they want people filming them? The answer would most likely be a resounding no, but let's face it, a lot of these people are so fucking pathetic, they're trying to film this for their 15 seconds of fame. And our final one is by Colored Ribbons. I'm from the UK and we have a bakery chain called Greggs. I have no idea where else in the world has this, so for those who don't know, Greggs is famed for its sausage rolls, pizza, steak bakes, and donuts. They usually have everything out hot, so it's perfect for a cold day. I'm going to be calling our entitled person today Pizza Boy, or PB for short. Okay, so I was going on my usual walk to the park near me just to get some fresh air, and decided to buy some lunch on the way. Greggs is warm and cheap, so I decided to go get a cheese pizza slice and a coffee. It's past the lunch rush, so a lot of the baked stuff is gone, save for like 2 slices of cheese pizza and some various other pastry encased things. There's no one in front of me as I go in, and the staff are busy, so I stand at the counter and wait. Pizza Boy walks in shortly after. He's on his phone, the usual. I don't attempt to speak to him as I never have seen him before in my life. One of the staff gets a minute to take my order, so I ask her for a slice of cheese pizza and a regular salted caramel latte, please. Pizza Boy looks at me in a slightly offended manner, and I thought maybe he just thought I was weird for my coffee choice or something, until he piped up with the merry tune of, "I want that pizza!" Now I should point out that Pizza Boy is probably in his 20s. He's definitely past the age at which he should be throwing tantrums for not getting his way. "I always get 2 pizza slices for my lunch, and now you've just ruined my day. I hope you're pleased with yourself." I'm speechless. I blink back in response, having absolutely no clue as what I can say back to this man who is throwing a fit over £1 50p slice of cheese pizza. "What do you have to say for yourself?" Excuse me? I'm not entirely sure what I've done wrong here. "You have just stolen that slice of pizza from me." Thankfully, I wasn't the only one completely and utterly baffled at this man, as the staff member brought my coffee over and told Pizza Boy, "Sir, this person has not stolen anything from you. You have not bought that pizza. This young person is about to. Please calm down." She starts to ring me up as Pizza Boy continues shouting about how unfair it is that he doesn't get his 2 slices of pizza today. I very much enjoyed my legally obtained unstolen pizza. Get a grip, Pizza Boy. God, the way the Pizza Boy's acting, you'd make it think that if he didn't get his pizza for lunch, that he's just not gonna exist anymore. He's gonna fade away and just fade out of existence. In all reality though, the nerve of this guy to think that he's entitled to the pizza and anybody else getting it is stealing it. Alright, that's enough entitlement for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Entitled People. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, have a great day and stay safe out there.